Okay, hi everyone. Welcome to Otakusphere Weekly, episode 20. We made it to 20 episodes. Still not old enough to drink, but, we're working on it. I'm Karen, and with me tonight are Sal.
Good afternoon.
LB.
Hello.
And Lifesong.
Hello.
Yeah, I said tonight, but we're actually recording in the afternoon because today's a weird podcast, but whatever. We'll make it work, probably. Okay, so the first thing I definitely wanted to start off with is something I completely forgot to mention last week, and I really wanted to talk about it. Kiss Him, Not Me. This is a very interesting show that I've seen a lot of very different opinions on, but at least one good thing about the fact that we didn't get to it last week is last week I was the only one who had seen it, but now LB's caught up. So LB, why don't you start off by telling us how you feel about it?
I wasn't sure how I was going to like this series before I started it, but within 10 minutes of the first episode, I knew that I was totally on board. It was making me laugh so hard, and I've watched all the way up to episode 3 now, and it's still really charming. It's really funny. I'm really enjoying it. What's interesting about this show is that normally I'm not the kind of person who likes to try and predict what's going to happen next. I like to just be surprised and not think about, this might happen next or this might happen next. But this show, I just can't help it. I'm sitting there watching and it's like, oh, they're setting up for this cue and they're setting up for this cue. And, even though it's making me think these things, it's not deterring me from enjoying it. I'm still enjoying, whatever little surprises and extra little twists that they're throwing in that, sometimes I'm right with my predictions, sometimes I'm wrong, but either way, I'm still really having fun with it.
Yeah, I think the premise is definitely different from what we're used to, but on the other hand, the way they're handling the humor is very kind of, I guess it's very sort of classic in the way they're telegraphing what's going to happen. So it's interesting that it's that combination, I guess. But what I thought was immediately interesting about the show is that when this show at first aired, I saw a couple of people being like, oh, this fat shaming, this is toxic, I can't take it. And then some other people just being like, oh, this is totally respectful of the main character, even when she's chubby. So then I was like, wait, these things are diametrically opposed. People have very, very different views on this. I'm only up to episode 2 of the show. 3 just aired, I think, yesterday or Friday night, and I was busy, so I didn't get to watch it yet. But I just felt the premise of the show was interesting because I feel like I've personally been on both sides of that divide. Like when you're like the fat girl and you're invisible, and then like you go through a phase and lose some weight, and suddenly it's like, oh wow, people are like talking to me. What happened? Why do I suddenly exist? So it's kind of like I just personally found it really interesting on that level. But I wonder if that's something that's really only enjoyable about the show if you feel like you've been through that. So that's what I've been thinking about in regard to the show. I don't know if that really leaves anything for anyone else to comment on.
I actually hadn't thought about that point. In my notes, I put down that, I thought that the whole part where she's invisible at first and then all of a sudden she loses weight and suddenly guys are all over her was actually kind of realistic because guys, not every guy in the world naturally, but a lot of guys, yeah, they're like that.
Yeah, because I think some people were rubbed the wrong way by that, but on the other hand, it's like, dudes, I've been there. That's what happens.
Yeah, especially like teenage guys. Yeah. I totally saw that as very realistic.
Yeah, and I think whether or not this show kind of comes out on the side of the angels in terms of how it's handling these issues, I mean, like, I agree with you, and I think it's funny full out, even if you don't really like the premise necessarily, it's still just funny because it's well done. But, like, I think whether or not it ends up being kind of like a show you really want to recommend to people is how they're going to handle it at the end, because like is she going to end up with one of the guys who was like a total douche to her when just because she wasn't skinny, or is she going to end up with the guy who never actually cared what she looked like, or is she going to end up with none of them? So,
and the other question too, like, will she regain her appearance, and then it'll be more about the inside than the outside? That's the other.
She already has, right?
No.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Now, it would actually be incredibly ballsy if by, like, episode 12 she goes back to looking the way she did in the first episode, but I really don't think that's going to happen. I think that would be a little bit too... I don't know, I think that would be maybe a little bit too ballsy. I think it was ballsy that they had a heroine who was ever fat for even 1 second. They're not going to, like, end the show with her being fat, so...
Yeah, that's just not going to happen. I have some predictions that I'm waiting to see if they come true. I mean, like, first off, I'm thinking that at some point the guys are going to finally get so turned off by her BL fetish that they're going to walk away entirely and then realize, oh no, we really do care for her, and then come back. That would be one cliche that they could go with. And then I'm also thinking that the one guy who, Mutsumi, I believe, who seems to genuinely care for her, it seems like, you know, it's already showing signs that he's going to be probably the first one to get kind of fed up. Because, not to spoil episode 3, but they're already showing some signs of the guys getting frustrated. So that's going to be kind of interesting to watch play out in the next few weeks.
Yeah, and it's going to be, I think, whether or not the show continues to be good beyond the first couple episodes is going to really depend on how they handle that, because if every single episode is just like, she's doing BL stuff, and they're like, oh, we're so sick of this BL, that's going to get really lame. But then if they have a big blow-up and then reconcile it, they still have to have a show after that, so...
Mm-hmm.
So it's just kind of... I like the fact that I don't really know... Like, there are a lot of things it could do to screw up and become boring, but I like the fact that I really don't know how they're going to handle that. So.
Out of curiosity,
there are a lot of different directions they can go. It's just a matter of which one they're going to choose, which I'm anxiously waiting to find out which path they do go with.
Right. And let's not rule out all the dudes deciding they like BL by the end of the series.
That would also be kind of ballsy.
That would kind of remind me of the end of Chubra, where the male love interest, he's so tired of the fact that the main female is obsessed with underwear, but at the end he loves underwear too and forms his own underwear club. I'm telling you, Chubra is such an underappreciated gem. Sal, I think you were trying to interject a moment ago?
Yes, I was going to say if Wilson ever got to watch any actual episodes besides reacting to the synopsis.
He immediately noticed the one guy who didn't care what she looked like and just respected her either way, and he was like, yeah, it really matters whether or not, you know, how she ends up with that guy. Like, is he gonna end up being her boyfriend or at least her friend or close friend or what? Because he's the one this show should actually be about. So, well, other than her, obviously, but she is the main character. It's safe to say. One more thing I wanted to mention about Kiss Him, Not Me before we move on is this is another show, and I've seen this trope before, where the way it differentiates overweight people from skinny people, other than the obvious, is overweight people aren't allowed to have eyes. Like, she just basically has dots for eyes, and then when she loses weight, she has like gorgeous, sparkling anime eyes. And on the one hand, I could see that as being like legitimately offensive, but on the other hand, it does kind of show like, okay, if you're an attractive person but you're carrying a lot of extra weight, that like hides how naturally attractive you may or may not be, right? And showing it that in the animation is actually a very effective way in terms of visual storytelling to show that. But it's also really like dehumanizing to just be like, oh well, she's fat, so you can't see her eyes. So I'm still not sure if I'm okay with that or not. So, LB, any thoughts?
I hadn't actually thought about that particular aspect, like, at all until you mentioned it.
Well, I think I noticed it specifically because I've seen that happen in manga before, not in anime so much, but I've seen manga where a girl is fat and she just has dots for eyes, but then she loses weight and she gets beautiful anime eyes again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I hadn't even thought about that, like, in the least until you brought it up, so that's something I'm going to have to process and think about.
This is the deep anime question of the season. Yeah. Alright, moving on to Yuri on Ice, episode 2, where I thought I hated the Russian Yuri. I thought he was just going to be there for me to love to hate. But then he did that thing where he was walking through walking in Japan, he saw the tiger shirt, and he was like, oh, I want the tiger shirt, but I want to take a picture of myself, but I don't want to tag my location. Then I was like, oh god, he's adorable, I like him. Oh man. I didn't want to like him, but it happened. Sal, how'd you feel about Yuri on Ice 2?
Yeah, like, it was kind of interesting how we saw that other side of Yuri, where he just gets so enthusiastic so easily, but yet he wants to try to hide that side of him and try to seem more tough than he is.
Yeah, I'm actually having trouble, like, specifically, like, I know I love Yuri on Ice, but I'm actually having trouble specifically remembering, like, what happened in episode 2.
Oh, it was also kind of cool how basically because of Victor being in the area, how it's actually helping that area's tourism grow, which is kind of neat how that's going to be a little side story thing on top of the ice skating theme.
Yeah, although I was wondering, like, okay, is any ice skater, like, a big enough star to, like, get this sort of press following? But I guess you got to figure he's like the world's most, in this universe, he's the world's most famous ice skater and an eligible bachelor and so on and so forth. So.
and it's kind of interesting too. There was also that conflict with that one Russian coach. So curious to see if that'll be like a major thing in the later episodes.
That would be like so throwback to the 80s if like the Russian coach is the bad guy.
Yeah.
Just thinking of like old movies I used to watch.
Also, I find it kind of neat how one of the little girls in the episode actually made a G Gundam reference.
See, this is why we have you, Sal, because I never would have.
Yeah, basically it was a scene when they were like trying to come up with the idea of making that an event, the competition between the two Yuris, like where she was wearing like the pink suit and the eye patch and the pipe. Like that's how the announcer for G Gundam dressed like.
It's cute. A life song?
Yeah, I think my biggest memory from it was just how much Victor speaks English. Like, it's kind of weird. Constantly out with the, like I don't know if it sounded like natural American English or natural. Well, no. If it had a Russian accent, then it would be okay. It doesn't. It all sounds kind of weird. I don't know. It's this weird dissonance to the language stuff. I stick to the Russian.
Yeah. To be fair, they couldn't get a Russian voice actor to voice Victor, so.
I was okay with it because I just figured this is someone who's been like world famous for like 10 years and probably has had to learn to speak some English to speak to reporters and things. So he's just like linguistically, he's just all over the place right now.
Yeah, I know. It just feels weird to me.
Also,
like he slips in the words in between things he's saying. Like the only language I've ever heard anyone do that is Japanese. So when you do it when he's speaking Russian or something else, no.
Well, I think he's thrown in some Russian phrases too as well.
Well, he does, yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's also because I don't know if Russia does it, but I know in Europe, like I think it's required for like everyone to learn at least like 5 languages, and so a lot of people know English in that region.
Wait a minute. I don't think it's required for everybody to know 5 languages. I think a lot of people.
You learn them in grade school, like so most people know like 5 languages.
I think 5 sounds like the wrong number, but since I've never been to Europe, I'm not going to argue with you.
maybe it's 4. I could be wrong.
I was under the impression, especially depending on where you are in Europe, I was under the impression that a lot of Europeans speak multiple languages, but I don't think it's like there's like any one number that everyone speaks. But who knows?
You know what? I didn't know that Yuri was a Russian name, so maybe it's just sounding weird to my ears, and that's just how it is. That's
just how it is. Yeah, I mean, I think episode 2 was mainly a big setup for the whole setup for episode 3.
The other Russian Yuri's reaction, people call him Yurio, was priceless.
That was cute. LB, how you feeling about Yuri on Ice number 2?
I really enjoyed it. There were 2 big takeaways that I have. The first one is a random thought of I absolutely adore the opening theme song to this series. I think it's so great and just so much fun to listen to. And as soon as I get a chance, I'm adding it to my iPod, just because so I can listen to it on a regular basis. It really gets me pumped up to watch the series. So, and I'm really enjoying it. The other thing that I took away from episode 2 was I thought it was interesting that the Japanese Yuri only took a couple of weeks to lose all that weight, And I was like, man, how hard is Victor working him that he lost all that weight and that little poochy belly that he gained in just a couple of weeks?
It was 1 week, I think.
Was it? Yeah. It was just like, in that short a time, he lost all that weight. It's like, damn, Victor, ease up just a bit.
I'm guessing it was also thanks to whatever diet they had Yuri take during that training, too.
Yeah, but even still, a week, and he loses, like, how... They didn't specify a number, but it sure seemed like he slimmed down in a major hurry.
Yeah.
Well, see, this is what I need. I need Victor to come to my house and become my coach, and I will get into absolutely great shape. And I just need him to stay around permanently, I guess. So I wouldn't fall off the wagon and have too many, I don't know, cookies or something. I just imagine I reach for a cookie and Victor would just like not very strongly, but just, firmly slap my hand away and be like, no, not for you. You are athlete. Watch, instead of having long fantasies about Sakamoto, now it's going to be long fantasies about Victor living in my house as my coach. But for another time, maybe.
So now we have two competitions, the Victor one and the Utapri, who the best guy is.
I don't know. This is getting complicated. I don't think I can keep track of all that. Well, we'll get to Utapri in a little while. But okay, I think we're gonna have a lot more to discuss when we get to the big competition on Yuri on Ice episode 3. But moving on to Izetta 3, I felt kind of impatient during this episode when they were doing the whole tank warfare business. And Izetta's like, well, I want to fight. And Fine's like, no, I care about you too much. You can't fight. But then in the second half of the episode, when Izetta just starts kicking ass, I was like, yes, this was worth the wait. This is what I wanted. Mm-hmm. Life-song?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't feel like it was slow, but I also kind of was, okay, when is she going to go fight the tanks? I kind of felt like it was this is obviously what's going to happen. She's gonna go do her thing, and she did, and it was awesome.
But what do you think about, because I know one of the things you liked about Alderman is that when they fought, it was actually serious. They didn't have to try to maintain that light tone all the time. And in Zeta, they were kind of throwing in jokes while she was messing with the tanks. She was banging her butt into things. She flew into a tree, and I mean, I thought it was just kind of lightened up the otherwise grim World War II situation. But I could also see it.
It did lighten it up. I wouldn't say that I was laughing at it though. I mean, there's maybe I was. I don't know for sure. It didn't really ruin the atmosphere, I guess you could say, for me. It did lighten it though. I mean, and I think it was supposed to, because it was pretty grim for a moment there. It was even grimmer than a lot of what Alderman threw at us, where they were pretty much all about to die. We saw the one soldier, his commanding officer gets killed, and then the commanding officer who adopts him 5 minutes later gets killed. And he's pretty much about to get killed himself, and then, she shows up and saves the day.
Yeah, well, thank goodness that guy lives, or else I think I would have been pretty pissed off at the show. I would have been like, that's like introducing a puppy and then killing its show. Don't do that,
Well, that's usually what, I think that would be what we typically expect of this setting type of piece, is that character would usually die.
Yeah, look, see these nice people who you identify with and want to survive? Oh, they're dead. Don't you feel sad now? Ha ha. We got you.
So yeah, it was actually kind of neat. I suspected he was going to survive, but it was also neat that they went there. So
yeah. LB, you're caught up on Izetta, right?
No, I'm not. I've only seen up to episode 2.
Okay.
Oh, spoilers! The guy lives.
Oh, it's fine. I'm not worried about it.
And let's see.
I caught Izetta too.
Right, I was just thinking, did Sal watch it? But what do you think of the episode, Sal?
Yep, I enjoyed it. I didn't mind that it was a little bit the early part where the princess was trying to discourage her not to fight, because that's kind of expected in that type of show, of Izetta being the final witch and everything, and But again, that whole sequence was worth it. Seeing her throw the lances around, the unlimited blade work sequence.
Yeah, it was really
and her flipping and her using her magic to bring objects to life to flip the tanks over.
It's those cool things
wow.
they do.
She's pretty overpowered right now. Germania is gonna find a way to counter her late in the later episodes, and that's probably gonna be really like a reality hit for everyone.
No, I do
And
not want Germania to find a way to counter her. I just want her to be kicking Nazi ass for the whole show with no, like, no actual.
You know they're gonna have to. They're gonna have to find a way to challenge her you know.
Yeah, I mean, there are some.
I mean, and if it's not like a weapon countermeasure, it might be like a psychological one or something like holding certain people ransom or doing something where she'll have to make an important choice that could affect everyone's life.
The ending: save the princess, save her kingdom.
Yes.
Yes.
And from the looks of it, it looks like the show might just focus on just them trying to hold their ground until the war's over.
I'm a tiny bit spoiled, so I don't think that's the case, but I understand why you'd say that based on episode 3.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about future developments in Izetta next time we podcast. Yeah, this is just such a weird time to be podcasting because we're podcasting late, so some stuff has actually come out, but we're not discussing. It's not worth trying to understand it. Okay, are we ready to move on?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, we're gonna move on to Keijo episode 2, which is kind of our Keijo world building episode, I guess. And where we learn that even though they're in, like, elite athletic training, they still get to eat a hell of a lot of food, which was weird to me when I first watched it. Then I was like, oh, wait, but this is different from, like, every other sport because they actually want to keep their body fat percentage up. And the more...
Yeah, if they weren't eating all that Jell-O, they'd have been in some pretty bad shape for their sport after all that exercise.
Also, and I guess it's also for the carbs, too, to have the energy to do the training and stuff, too.
Yeah, but it's like, normally athletes are trying so hard to keep their weight down and just keep tone and everything, but like in Keijo, that's not what you want. You've got to keep your body fat percentage up so you have the boobs to do the boob thrusts,
Mm-hmm. and don't forget about the cheeks as well. The cheeks are as important, too.
But with your butt, though, like, your butt can be a lot muscle, but you're not going to have muscle boobs. You need body fat percentage to have boobs. I'm glad that Keijo athletes are probably having a better time than, like, real female athletes are. Anyway. So let's see. So what we see them doing, oh yeah, this is the episode where they do the, keep the thing up in the air, and then we learn that...
like the Keijo style volleyball segment.
Yeah, that was the shonen segment of the episode.
Yeah, and it wasn't actually, like, once... I mean, the beginning of the episode where it's all focused on just, like, do the butt exercises, work out your butt. I mean, yeah, sure, plenty of shots of butts there. But when they got to the second part, I didn't even really think it was very fan-servicey. It was all about, like, just, like, how to try to predict where the ball is going to be and stuff like that. Lifesong, what'd you think?
Yeah, I'm amused with the ridiculous premise and just how completely all in they are with it. The segment at the end was what really stuck in my memory, where they've got the one girl, I don't remember their names yet, the main character, and she's reading the other girl's ability to read the wind and predicting where they should all go. I'm not sure which one of them has the more impressive power.
Yeah, I know. Nozomi's got kind of like, like, maybe her Keijo power is that she understands everybody else's Keijo power? I don't know. Oh, that was
kind of foreshadowed in the beginning, in the first episode, when she was kind of predicting the one girl with the really fast butt technique that can knock you out cold.
Well, let's remember at the end of the episode, she also unlocks her, like, flashing butt move.
The vacuum butt cannon.
Yeah, the vacuum butt cannon.
Yeah, and they actually...
I'm sorry.
Here and he hasn't seen it.
Honestly, I have to say that listening to you guys discuss the series is probably more fun than actually watching the series.
Yeah.
I could probably watch the series and I would probably get some enjoyment out of it, but it would probably pale in comparison to just listening to you guys talk about it out of context.
Oh, by the way, Alba the shy one, I think it's gonna be the one that's gonna use the gates of Ascalon later on, because I just saw the opening. It's like, yeah, it's her that was doing the attack.
Oh yeah, I wanted to ask you about that, because I noticed that, once you pointed it out to me, I noticed the Gate of Babylon thing in the opening. The thing is, is, I couldn't see butts coming out of it. I just saw like the Gate of Babylon sort of setup.
In the actual I saw like a screen of it on the manga where there was actual butts coming out of it.
Oh, okay. Because like at first I was like, yeah, but I don't see any actual butts coming out of it. So maybe it's not like butts of Babylon. But I was like, wait, it's Keijo. What the hell else is going to come out of those portals? You know?
Well, yeah, it's one of two things.
So, continuing to enjoy the over-the-top ridiculousness that is Keijo. I think we're ready to move on to something on the other end of the fan service spectrum. Uta no Prince Sama something 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 Legend Star Sparkle Prince episode 3. And after saying last week that Tokiya is my favorite Utapri guy, I was kind of annoyed at him this week. He was like, I don't know. First he was all like, oh, I'm too good for all you guys. You guys are like holding me back. And then he thinks about it for a while and he's like, oh, I was just testing you. Actually, I think you're all actually way more talented than me. And I was just like, stop being such a prissy little bitch. Just be a team player, you know? So I was just getting annoyed with that. What do you think, LB?
I really enjoyed the episode, but I was enjoying it mostly because not even for the story, because, you know, the story was just kind of there. But I was enjoying it because there were certain lines that they would say, and they would just make me giggle because I would think about them in out of context ways. And it just made me laugh. Like, you know, call me if you ever want to do it.
Oh, right.
I know it was very, very 12-year-old of me, but still, I just saw that and I'm just like, screen cap.
Yeah.
That's getting used on a future occasion. I don't know why or where, but that's getting used. And yeah, so, but
hello?
Yeah, I even sent it to my wife, just like as an out of context theater. It's like, you know, there it goes. You know, so it was just one of those weird little things. The story was, you know, just kind of there, but I was just having fun with some of the lines that they were saying.
Yeah, I think I'm already bored with kind of the conceit of this season, which is like every episode they write another duet piece or something.
Mm-hmm.
It's just
yeah,
like,
I'm kind of waiting for them to move on to get to the main point.
Like, I feel like I could probably just not watch the show for like 2 months and then just tune in the last episode and find out who sees Starish win their big like face off, and I'll probably have gotten like 90% out of this season of what I was going to get out of it. But I don't know. I'll keep trying because it's Utapri, and it's like it's just part of my life, man. It's Utapri. What can I say? Okay. So let's move on to a show I've dropped, but I believe others have not. Magical Girl Raising Project Episode 3. LB, are you still keeping up with this?
I am trying to. I watched episode 2. I haven't caught episode 3 yet. So I'm running behind on this one. Not because I'm bored with it, just because I just am trying to keep up with a lot right now. So, and
right.
That one just doesn't get nearly enough attention from me, even though it totally should.
Well, in that case, Lifesong, can you tell us all about Magical Erasing Episode 3 in a fascinating way, but without spoiling LB in the slightest?
No.
I promise if you give me a couple of days, I will get all caught up and we can discuss it on Wednesday.
Okay.
So far, it's mostly been set up anyway. The big reveal of what's going to happen is in episode 4. So you have good timing. We'll catch up then.
Okay, cool.
All right. While we're on the subject of shows I'm not watching, but other people are, Drifters 2. People still on board with that?
Oh yeah, I'm still watching it.
Let's see. What do you think of that one, LB?
I'm still really digging on it. There are lots of little things about it that I'm enjoying. The humor is still hitting the right chord with me. The background music, composed by the team of Hayato Matsuo and Yasushi Ishii, is really good. I really loved the dichotomy between the jazz moments and the classical moments. The best part of the second episode, though, was the big reveal at the end of the episode where the office worker that we meet in the first episode is having a conversation with a goth loli who apparently also works in the office, and
that was God and Satan, right?
What?
That was God and Satan, right? Or something along those lines.
You could probably call it that. I hadn't put that together in my head. Actually, I went ahead and was thinking it in a completely different way. You could probably call it, God Satan, but I think that it's an entirely non-religious world. I think that it's not, God versus Satan. It's just, two otherworldly beings who are pitted against each other for some reason that we don't know yet. I don't know. Yeah, so I think that it's just,
It was nondescript regardless. I mean, it wasn't obviously tied to any one...
Oh, yeah. Wasn't Nobunaga's no motive in that show that he wanted to take over that world since he was kind of stuck there?
He started talking about that.
Yeah, he got himself a village of elves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And now they're going to fight zombies.
Okay, I was totally comfortable not watching this show, and you guys are making it sound really interesting.
I'm sorry to interrupt for a minute, but you mentioned Izetta and how Izetta had the little bit of distinction between the where Izetta shows up and there's that lightening of the mood. Well, here you have the most dark, brutal stuff possible, and they throw in way more comedy. I don't even know.
Even Hellsing did that too. Not just the original series, but Ultimate, which followed the manga. It had those moments like that too. You just see this really violent moment. All of a sudden, the characters just go into these simplified chibi forms and just start throwing jokes at each other.
Okay, well, I know Wilson actually wants to watch Drifter, so maybe I'll have him screen it for me, and then he can tell me whether or not I can handle the violence. This is why you get married, by the way.
It does have some really dark, brutal moment.
I mean,
the part where they kill the commander.
Yeah, when they cave in his forehead.
All right, maybe I won't watch it.
The violence level is just increasingly brutal.
Yeah, I mean, it was worse than Berserk. I'll leave it at that.
Okay. All right, but as long as you guys are enjoying it, it's okay that it's not for me. Not everything has to be for me. Let's see. Another one I'm not watching, and there's some kind of weird situation going on with the show. Occultic 9, Episode 2. Lysug, keeping up with that?
Yes. As far as what happened, I don't know. I know that the episodes 1 and 2 were removed from Crunchyroll. All I've heard so far is the rumor mill, which is something about production issues. I don't know. Episode 3 is out now. I haven't watched it yet. Episode 2 is more of the super fast, billions of things going on, and still feeling mostly coherent. The main character, the annoying one who runs his blog, is in the middle of a murder mystery now. They do this whole scene, which is... It felt like it was right out of the Matrix, where he's talking to this charm on his bag, and it's doing the whole... Morpheus thing where it tells him exactly what he needs to do to get out of the situation and not get caught.
What if I told you that it all comes down to that chick with the giant boobs?
I think it might. I mean, I'm pretty sure everyone's important. They also have another character. They've gone past the is it or isn't it real? Isn't or is not supernatural stuff real? It's obviously real. What exactly the extent of it is, we don't know. But there's another character who's reading, doing psychic predictions on YouTube or Nico Nico or something, and they've just got these interesting little things they're setting up. I'm not sure where they're going with it exactly, but it's really promising. I'm excited to see more of it. I think it's either going to end up the mess of the season or a real gem. I don't know which yet.
So you think it's kind of the Lost Village, the Lost Village potential situation?
I guess if it ends up being a mess, the best thing would be is to hope the light novel comes over here, since I imagine the source material is definitely a gem, considering it was the creator of Steins Gate that wrote it.
Oh, thank you for mentioning that, Sal, because there's a new site now. Oh, I'm forgetting the name of it. I should put it in the show.
Oh, yeah! I can look it up now, because Occultic 9's actually available in English, digitally.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
Is it what, J Novel Club or something like that?
Yeah, I believe so. I know someone who interviewed the site founder, so...
That's cool.
Yeah, I believe it's J Novel Club.
I'm gonna check it right...
I'll say this for Occultic 9 while Sal's looking that up. You mentioned Lost Village. Lost Village, I thought could be really good at the beginning.
It was J Novel Club, and they're actually based in Japan, and they're releasing a couple stuff. Yeah, and they're doing like English digital light novels. So
okay, so that is good for people to know about. Like Song, you're saying?
Just that between those two shows, I get a better vibe from Occultic 9. Like I feel like they know what they're doing with it. Like I don't think that you could cram this much content into any one single episode and have it turn out as well as it does without knowing what you're doing.
Okay. I mean, it's weird because I made the decision not to watch it, but I do want it to be good so I can go back to it later, perhaps. So I'm pleased it sounds like it's going to be that way. And LB, this isn't one you're caught up on, right?
No, I'm not watching it.
Right, okay. Moving on to Flip Flappers, episode 2. Am I the only one watching Flip Flappers?
No, I'm watching it.
Oh,
Did I forget to mark it down?
You might have, but that's okay. I'm really digging this show. I just really like the way it looks, and the bit where they became bunnies for no reason.
Yeah, the adventure aspect of it. It's not every anime that gets like an adventurous spirit and really goes somewhere with it. And this show does, and it does it in spades, and it's awesome.
Yeah, and it really does have that Lewis Carroll, Alice in Wonderland kind of feel to it, which is something I think you'd mentioned this before, that you'd think you'd see that in more anime, but you actually don't. So.
No, you really don't. It is one of my favorite things about anime. It happens on occasion, and it's happening in Flip Flappers. So.
Yeah, but it's almost like I feel like the show is like an absolute visual feast, but until a little bit more happens, I don't really have much to say about it because you can make some obvious. I mean, you can make some obvious points about how it has to do with friendship and a young girl's sexual awakening and this and that. But so what? So,
none of us have seen episode 3 yet, right?
I have actually, and I'm trying very hard not to think about it right now.
Okay. Oh, no comments on that then.
That's next week. I'm as of episode 2, I have nothing to say.
Yeah. I'll just go ahead and say the one thing I was going to say. That is, a lot of people. A lot of friends of mine who were watching got to episode 2, didn't really care, and then episode 3 came around and they're like completely hooked, and I need to go find out why.
Oh, okay. That I can understand that. Okay. So moving on to something completely different that I wanted to mention. I did try March Comes In Like a Lion. I'm not caught up. I only got to see the first episode, but I liked what I saw. It's kind of quietly mesmerizing. So I think I'll probably be caught up with that by the next time we record. Life, I think you said you also caught the first episode, right?
Yeah, I've caught the first and only the first as well. I really like. There's not too much that happens in this first episode, but I really like the general feeling to it, the atmosphere and whatnot. I looked it up afterwards just to see. Okay, this feels familiar. Well, okay, the director is Shimbo. I think it's Shaft.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a Shaft series.
Yeah, and then you've got it's also the light novel writer that did Your Lie in April. Or manga. Is it manga? Do I have that mixed up?
I don't remember if it's a light novel or manga. I'd have to look it up.
It's the same author. That's what I found out. So yeah, I mean, just looking at those two things, okay, I've definitely.
All right, Your Lie in April was a manga.
Manga. Okay. Thank you, Sal.
You're welcome.
Let's see, where were we? LB, you're caught up on March Lion.
Oh yeah, totally. I'm actually frustrated. It's like I want to talk about 2 and 3,
Sorry.
and it's just like, oh my goodness, because I'm so digging this show. Because what was really interesting about it is that the first 10 minutes of the first episode were so sedate. Like, I was actually at that point, and I was like, man, this is going to be another show where I'm going to have to, challenge myself to watch it. But then I watched the second half of the first episode, and the tone just took a complete 180. I thought that it just shifted from really quiet and sedate to, more humorous and a little more lively, and it just sucked me in. There are so many things that I want to know about the characters. I want to learn more about them. you know, in episodes 2 and 3, I won't spoil specifics, but I will tell you that, you know, they really do build on the characters in just grand fashion, and it's really well done. So look forward to that. But I think one of the things that sticks out to me the most about episode 1, and I think that Karen might actually agree with me on this, is that I really like that the cats have their own internal monologues, and that they're actual characters in the series rather than just background.
Wait, this was in the first episode?
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah, first episode. In the second chapter, the cats, when Ray appears at the home of his friends, they all appear and they're like, and they all have the internal monologue of, "Do you have food for us?"
Okay. You said internal monologue, and I was thinking some frickin' like Shakespearean. That the cat is sitting there like, "To be or not to be a feline," but you just meant they have lines.
Yeah, they have lines.
Okay.
They have actual dialogue, and they're not just, you know, background.
Yeah, it is cool. But yeah, and even though it was very sedate at the beginning, I think I just felt like I had confidence in it from the very beginning, that it knew where it was going, so I didn't feel bored at the beginning.
They sold the shogi thing really well without boring us to death with the details of it.
Yeah, because one of the reasons why it took me so long to check the show out is I just didn't think I was interested in shogi, you know. So. Mm-hmm. But it probably doesn't really matter how much you like or don't like. Well, I mean, people who like it have that extra dimension to it.
I will say that, yeah, with Your Lie in April, they had the added feature of when it became anime. Well, okay, it has sound now, and it's all about music and playing piano. So there's that aspect to it. And then, you know, with shogi, it's silent. It's the complete opposite. It's actually kind of interesting.
I'm actually, in my head at the moment, I'm comparing it to Chihaya Furu, in which, you know, that's about another very Japanese game that not many people in the West know a lot about. And Chihaya Furu did a really good job of, you know, selling that game without boring you. And I'm really hoping that this series takes a similar approach to it.
That was more about the actual game itself, though, right? And like this so far, I mean, like shogi is the vehicle, but I don't know how much they're actually going to spend on the shogi itself. Maybe you know more than I do.
Not saying anything.
Okay.
All right. We'll discuss it at a later date.
Okay.
All right. So moving on, we discussed most of the shows I wanted to discuss, but I just wanted to. There's still a couple more on the list. Girlish Number. I had zero expectations for this, and I saw the first 2 episodes, and I ended up really liking it. And I find it's interesting that like it's cynical, but I don't find it obnoxious that it's cynical. Like it's just cynical in a way that I just find entertaining. So like it's not like my top show of the season or anything, but I find myself really liking it. Lifesong, you have a different opinion, right?
Yeah, first let me say that I actually went and watched it primarily because I was reading reviews online. They're all like, "This is the most amazing thing of the season." So I had a little bit of high hopes for it when I put it on, and I definitely didn't beat that level of awesome that I saw other people saying, but I can't get over the characters and how, I don't know, kind of feels like everyone's 13. like the older characters act younger. It's the guy leading the project. I mean, it was worse in episode 1. I've watched episode 2 as well now, and there's obviously some people there that are competent, like his assistant. I feel so sorry for that guy's assistant. I think the biggest problem I'm having with this is that I know exactly what that guy is going through, because that's kind of the role I have at work. So I'm just I don't want to see this in my anime. Go away. I already deal with this all the time. That's
funny. It's just like this is just too real. Dropping too many truth bombs in this idol anime. Well, it's not really an idol anime, but you know.
Well, yeah, kind of is. But yeah, I guess that there's some truth to that. This situation with the work stuff in particular, you can find that kind of chaos anywhere.
I just find I'm really appreciating what a complete unrepentant bitch the main character is, yet for some reason I don't hate her. Just because, like, her reactions are, like, so... I don't even... Like, at one point she says to the one girl, who, like, the one really sweet girl just trying to be friends with everyone, she's like, "Your words are false, and you're a bitch inside."
Yeah.
Where did you even?
You say that. I bet you say you love everyone, so your words don't matter. Yeah.
It's just that, I mean, normally if, like, a main character is a total asshole, I'm just like, well, fine, they're an asshole, I don't like them. But for some reason, in this context, it just works for me.
I guess that, if you don't take her too seriously, and I'm not sure if we should be or not, she's not really all that much of a bitch, even. She's way too, getting way too far ahead of herself.
Yeah. And also, is there some meaning to the fact that she wears, like, the picture of a fried egg on her sweater? Is that what that is?
I don't know if that's what that's supposed to be. I was wondering that too.
Maybe there's some great hidden symbolism there. I don't know. All right, but I think episode 3 is out as we're recording this, so I'm looking forward to keeping up with that one. Sal, LB, I don't think you guys tried this one yet, right?
No, I haven't.
Not yet.
Okay, my LB, I don't. Well, no, thinking about your taste, you might want to give episode 1 a try. See what you think.
Okay.
Let's see. Anybody else keeping up with Poco's Udon World?
No.
I haven't watched any more yet.
Okay, the one thing I'll say about it is that, I don't want to just keep coming back to comparing it to Sweetness and Lightning because they're different shows, but here I am doing that again. But one way in which it is different from Sweetness and Lightning is it seems to be a lot based on the main character's remembering his own childhood, like dealing with this strange little Tanuki child, just making him reflect back on his own childhood. So it kind of gives it a very different, like, more nostalgic kind of feel. And I wonder if they're going anywhere with that other than just, oh, look at what he remembers about being a child. Like, I think they're going to kind of end up, I imagine what they're kind of going to build to doing a more interesting character study of the main character. So I'm interested in it to see where it goes on that level. Plus, it's just really cute. Like, there's one point where, like, little Tanuki boy is, like, playing with a little girl who's, like, 4, and they're so cute. Oh my god. It's the cutest thing. Okay, so, enjoying that show. Oh yeah, and, Life Song, I believe you've seen The Great Passage, which was on the list of shows I really wanted to watch this season, and then I couldn't find it streaming anywhere, and then I heard it was streaming on Amazon Prime, and then I forgot about it. So I need you to tell me, like, how stupid am I for not watching it yet?
I mean, I actually thought it was moderately enjoyable. I mean, it wasn't like, it didn't blow me away or anything, but just the fact that it's a story about making a dictionary, and it felt interesting.
That's so cool.
I didn't take too much away from the first episode, but they sold the weirdness of the characters and the serious passion that you need to have for words, but not too much. They sold that pretty well. Okay,
I gotta get caught up for next time. I know we have Amazon Prime. I don't think I've ever even watched a single episode of anime on Amazon Prime. I should probably do that one of these days. So I'll get on that. What else have I got on the list that we haven't discussed yet? I can cross that one out. I'm continuing to enjoy Wagnaria, but I don't have much to say about it. Just like, yep, it's Wagnaria. That's good. Are you keeping up with it, LB?
I am. I also don't really have anything to say about it. It's a show that I'm enjoying, and that's about it. I mean, the only thing I really have to say about the first couple of episodes is that I thought the raccoon in episode 2 was very, very cute.
Yeah.
And that's about the deepest thing that I have to say about it so far.
Yeah, well, I was a little annoyed when they did the whole test of courage thing, so I was just like, oh, I'm so tired of the test of courage, like, setup. But it really didn't end up, I don't know, it didn't really end up mattering that much that it was a test of courage. It was just the Wagnaria people being their silly selves, so I was okay with it.
Yeah, basically. I don't think that there's gonna be any particularly deep plots in this series. I think it's just going to be a show, just another sitcom. So yeah, I mean, I'm going to keep up with it, but I'm not exactly foreseeing any big twists coming that I'm going to be dying to discuss anytime in the near future.
Yeah, probably we won't even bother to discuss it again until like the end of the season, unless it takes a turn we're not expecting. So
yeah, totally.
Okay. What else did I want to mention? Classicaloid. I saw the first episode and wow. Okay, I'm very impressed with the opening. I kind of wish if the whole show was like the opening, it would be awesome. But it's like there's the opening, which is kind of like this perfect like sort of rock classical hybrid thing, and then there's the show that makes no sense. So I just saw episode 1, and I didn't really feel compelled to get back to it. But Lifesong, you've seen episode 2, right?
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. You've got this girl. Her dad sent these super popular, powerful music things to her house, and they live with her.
And they make gyoza.
Yeah, and with flamethrowers.
Flamethrowers get the job done faster than a stove.
I can't to call it dumb. Which you didn't do, but it is. It's weird. It's not like it's a weird little show. I don't know what to say about it.
Yeah. All right. So I think I feel comfortable not going back to that one, at least for now.
All right.
And did anyone listen to my advice? My very well thought out advice, and watch Gakuen Handsome?
No.
Sorry, was kind of dealing with some major Japanese assignments.
This is why life just continues to disappoint me. Life's on you.
I have not.
Come on, it is the worst animation you have ever seen. You've got to spend the 3 freaking minutes it will take for you to see this awful animation.
I've got a whole bunch of anime queued up. After we finish this podcast, I will include it.
Okay. And
I'll try to.
And then you guys will be like, why did you want us to see terrible animation? I'll be like, it's distinct, okay? You don't see animation that's terrible all the time.
Didn't we get like a single episode of Gakuen Handsome like back in summer or something?
If so, I wasn't aware of it.
Okay.
Not saying you're wrong, but okay, just two more shows on the list. Just 2 more. We're almost done. Matoi the Sacred Slayer. This is one of the few shows left I really know nothing about it, but Lifesong, you've seen some of it, right?
Yeah, it's I guess it's the last of the magical girl shows I went. Is that true? Regardless. Yeah, I watched it for the opposite reason why I watched Girlish Number. I was like, everyone was kind of trashing it, and I actually thought it was charming. It wasn't amazing, but you've got like this sort of a setup. It felt like what's the best thing to compare it to? It felt like a show from the '90s, an anime show from the '90s. It kind of had an old school feel to it, where you've got these. I don't even know what to say about it because it was very generic. So it hasn't done anything yet. But it was charming. So,
like you went Suncoast and you got an anime VHS of Matoi the Sacred Slayer. And...
Yeah, exactly. Except it was in, HD.
But if it was the 90s and you only owned like 10 other tapes, it would have been a really huge deal. So you would have kept watching it until you liked it.
Well, you would have liked it. I mean, there was no reason not to like it. It just, I'm sure that, I'm trying to think of something descriptive about it that isn't in every other show that starts that one. I can't think of anything, so I'm just going to stop.
Okay, yeah, it's not a very strong recommendation, yeah. Nor is it meant to be.
Oh, sorry.
Let's see. So I can cross that one off. And, last thing I wanted to mention, Miss Bernard says a little 3-minute short about kids hanging out in the library. I really, really like this. Like, I'm not going to say it's my favorite show of the season because it's 3 minutes long and we have stuff like Yuri on Ice this season, but I really like this. This is, like, just for me. LB, I know you tried it, but it wasn't your cup of tea, right?
Yeah, it's not for me.
Life, did you give it a try?
Not yet.
Okay. And Sal, I don't think you did either, right?
Right, no.
Okay. Well, I'll just, it's just, it's about a girl who, like, she actually doesn't read books, but she wants to be thought of as someone who reads books, so she tries to say all these pretentious things that she thinks, like, people who read books would say. And she has this whole spiel in episode 2 where she's like, well, when I consider to read a book, it's a huge decision because when I read the book, it will actually change me as a person, and this will happen, and this will happen. And it's like, the funny thing is, it's just bullshit because she's just too lazy to read any books, but, like, that actually is how I approach reading. Like, sometimes I will not read a book for a while because I'm just like, I don't have space in my brain right now for, like, the actual thinking reading a book would make me do. So it's like, she's going on this speech that's supposed to be, like, complete nonsense, and I'm just like, but I actually do think about reading that way.
For that exact reason, I will probably watch all of Matoi the Sacred Slayer, because it doesn't require any brain power, and it's fun.
Yeah. Alright, so... one thing about Miss Bernard said, though, is that, to explain a lot of the literary references, there'll be a lot of text on screen. So you'll have the Japanese text on screen, and then you'll have the Crunchyroll English text on screen trying to translate it, and it's a huge mess. Like, they probably should not have even tried. So.
Can it possibly be worse than Monogatari?
Well, since it's only 3 minutes long, I guess it's not, but it's pretty, like, I was thinking, how many people are seriously gonna, like, freeze frame this and bother to read all these notes? I don't know. But if you like books, you should probably give it a shot. Or if you just want to be thought of as a person who likes books, really. That would probably be the best. Okay, that was absolutely everything I had on my list. Was there anything else that people wanted to mention before we sign off?
I'm trying to think if there's anything. Let me look up my list real fast just to make sure. Let me see. Blah, 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 blah. Brave Witches continues to be just cheeky fun, and I'm enjoying it. So, I mean, that's all I really have to say about that at the moment. But if you liked Strike Witches at all, then Brave Witches is totally the spiritual successor, and they're doing a great job with it. So, you know, it's worth checking out, and the story is different enough that you don't have to, that if you missed Strike Witches, you can pick up Brave Witches and be fine. Yeah, other than that, that's all I had.
Okay. I'm gonna yawn. No, make it stop. Make it stop. Okay, so, thanks for listening to us again, everybody. And next week or next half a week, whatever, we'll talk about all the shows that we sort of had in mind, but we couldn't talk about this week because timing's a bitch. So, yeah. Okay. I would normally say good night, but since it is afternoon here, I will say good afternoon, everybody.
Goodbye.
Take care.